Bernie Sanders slamming the Democratic Party for playing divisive identity politics that crippled the party, while declaring that Donald Trump won because, quote, the working class of this country is being decimated. This latest episode has more than a few critics wondering if we're witnessing the coming collapse of the entire Democratic Party. Joining us now, Schiffer. Adriana Cohen is back along with Brad Bauman. Brad, it's so funny because 2 or 3 months ago they were talking about rebuilding the GOP in the aftermath of a Donald Trump loss. It feels like rebuilding the Democratic Party is the #1 thing now, but they're lurching still to the Pelosi and Ellison. What's going on with your party?
Well, let me tell you something. Our party right now is actually in the process of elevating all sorts of new leaders. You mentioned Keith Ellison, for instance. Keith Ellison is a fantastic new leader for our party, and should he end up as DNC chair, I think that Republicans are wise not to underestimate him. As you may know, I actually worked for Keith Ellison as the executive director of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and I've never met a man who was more capable of actually getting down, talking to voters, and actually communicating the Democratic message like him. So what you're actually seeing here...
Well, let me stop there for a second. What is that message? And I'm glad you mentioned the Democratic message. What is it? Because I think it's lost on the American public.
No, the Democratic Party's message is what it always has been, which is that the American people need to get a real deal. Away from the millionaires, away from the billionaires, away from guys like Donald Trump, away from guys who have long held down the working class, and guys like Ellison know it. You know, he was against TPP well before a lot of these folks ever showed up on the scene. He's from the upper Midwest. He understands what Americans are going through out there. And as an organizer, I feel very confident that should he end up leading the party, that we'd be in very good shape.
Eric, that message, though, was usurped by Donald Trump. And at the end of the day, the American people believe he is the guy to get it done. And now the Republican Party is the one that represents, you know, those hardworking middle Americans who mostly live between big cities, big metropolis. I just don't think, listen, Ellison was a Marxist. He condemned capitalism coming up. He's not necessarily a friend of the police. I think he's on the wrong side of current history right now, Eric.
I think that what is crystal clear is whoever they choose, and I'm sure Ellison is a great guy on a personal level, but the reality is they need someone that really gets capitalism, that really gets people to work, that is practical. Frankly, a business person would be an interesting choice on the Democratic side. There's certainly plenty of them to pick from. They need someone that can send a message that's credible. And the Democrats are not credible on the subject anymore.
Yeah.
They've
that's
lost
crazy.
credibility.
Democrats totally get capitalism, and they get that the American people have been screwed by it.
I want to ask you, Adriana, because you're a conservative in the heart of one of the last true blue states out there, but you understand the heartland, and you understand what's going on. To me, I just don't think the Democrats have heard the election. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, are you serious?
Exactly. The Democrats are totally tone deaf, and that's why they got shellacked in this last election. They didn't just lose the White House, they lost all branches of our government. And so it's time for them to do some serious housekeeping. And I think Nancy Pelosi needs to go.
Brad, I know you're consoling yourself with those things, but in the last 8 years, what the Democrats have lost from the top to the bottom is devastating. It really is. It was like a military coup, not like a voting coup, but like another country invaded your political party and wiped you out. Real quick, Adriana, last word to Adriana, please.
Absolutely.
Democrats have let down typically their typical voter, which is the blue-collar worker. I mean, just take Obamacare. The Cadillac tax would have completely decimated the union workers. And even just the middle class was hurt by, and continues to be hurt by Obamacare with these skyrocketing costs.
There's no doubt.
And so they're not servicing their own voters.
To your point, when Obamacare, when those premiums came in, I think that helped that Trump momentum greatly. All three of you guys, fantastic. I really appreciate it.